Hey everybody, so we're gonna make mozzarella today, and then after we make mozzarella we're gonna make ricotta from the whey. So I'm gonna show you step by step how to make mozzarella, and we'll get started. So I'm using about 2 gallons of raw milk, and I'm just gonna go ahead and dump it in my stainless pot. You can also use like a Dutch oven. Okay, I've got my milk in the pot, and the first thing I'm going to do before I turn the heat on is add my citric acid. You need that for your cheese to be able to stretch. So I'm gonna do 1 1/4 teaspoons per gallon, so 2 1/2 teaspoons for my 2 gallons, and I'm gonna put it in a measuring cup, and I'm gonna dilute it with water so that it dissolves. Okay, so here's my water and citric acid, and I'm just gonna kind of stir it up. And add it into the cold milk. And then go ahead and stir that in and turn your heat on medium and heat your milk to 88 degrees. So I've got my thermometer in here, and I'll go ahead and set it for 88. And then we'll wait. Okay, so you might start seeing some clumps, and that's totally fine. My milk is only at 55, but it's just from the citric acid, so don't freak out if you start seeing clumps. Okay, so we've reached 88. Go ahead and give it a stir and take it off of the heat. Okay, you can see there's some chunks kind of, and that's totally okay. So now it's time to add the rennet. Okay, so the rennet also needs to be diluted, and usually 1/2 teaspoon will set 2 gallons, I think. So yeah, I'm gonna do 1/2 teaspoon, and then I'm going to, don't mind my crazy hair, I'm going to dilute it in water again, and then go ahead and add it in. Okay, so go ahead and add it in, and then use like an up and down motion to gently stir it in. And I use calf rennet, liquid calf rennet. I've never tried a vegetable rennet. I've used the tablets, and they're fine. They just are more work to me trying to crush them and dissolve them, but they do work. So any type of rennet should work for this. So once you get it mixed in, go ahead and put your lid on, and you're gonna let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll check for a clean break in the curd. Okay, so it's been 20 minutes, and you can tell here that our curd's set up. So we're gonna go ahead and stir it to break it up. Okay, so now that the curds are broken up, we're going to bring the heat up to 108 degrees. So go ahead and set your thermometer for 108. And I stir occasionally. You don't have to stir the whole time, but you just don't want the bottom to get really hot and the top to not be hot. So just stir every few minutes until you get to 108. Okay, so we just reached 108 degrees. And you just kind of have, let me show you. You have your kind of clumps of cheese. So we're just gonna move it off the heat and let it sit for 35 minutes with the lid on. Okay, so our cheese has sat for 35 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and take the lid off. And I'm gonna take the curd, I'm gonna lift the curd out and put it into a bowl. I want the whey to stay in the pot because that's what we're gonna heat to stretch the cheese in. So you should have like a decent blob. Just like that. And then I like to use a slotted spoon just to get any other pieces out if there are any, which sometimes you'll get little pieces. Okay, so at this point we're going to turn our heat back on, and we want to heat the curds to about like 150 to 170. I like doing it around 160. And then we're gonna take our curds and put them in there and stretch them. You can salt your curds now and mix it in that way. You can also salt your whey. I've done it both ways, and last time I did a little in both. Cheese, I feel like, is kind of one of those things that sometimes I oversalt and sometimes I undersalt. So kind of use your best judgment. They say a half a teaspoon of salt per cup of curd if you're gonna mix it in your curd. So that's kind of a rough estimate of what you can add. So if you want to do that, go ahead and add that while your whey is heating up to 150, 160-ish. Okay, also while you're waiting for your whey to heat up, get a bowl of really cold water, and that's what you're gonna put your stretched mozzarella cheese into when it's done, to get it cooled off quickly. Okay, so I broke my curd in half, so this is kind of a bigger piece. And I've got my gloves on, and my whey is at 151, so it could be a little hotter, but I'm just gonna go ahead and start dipping it in. So I like to hold it in here for a little bit and let the hot whey kind of melt it together. So you can kind of tell the curds are melting together now. It would be a little faster if the whey was hotter. That's okay, it's getting there. So again, it's still melting together. Okay, at this point you can kind of start stretching, and you don't want it to break. So you basically are stretching can dip again. Stretch. If it starts breaking, then dip it back in. There's still, I'll show you. It's not totally melted in some spots, which is totally fine. You're just gonna keep working it. My weigh is at 156 right now, so it still could be hotter. So you can tell it's melting together better. It looks really smooth. Not everywhere, but it's definitely starting to get that way. So getting stretchier for sure. So you're looking for smooth all over, which we're not quite there. So as you can see, it's kind of stretching on its own, which is good. Still have a few not smooth parts there, so I'm gonna go a little longer. We're at 160 right now. We're pretty close. I'm gonna go just a little longer and get some of these clumpy parts a little smoother. So this looks pretty good. It's smooth all over. It's stretching nice. It's got really good consistency. I think I'll shape it into a ball and go ahead and get it in the cold water. I kind of do it like bread dough almost. You don't have to do it that way, but it gives you an easier piece to shred, in my opinion. So there's my nice smooth ball of mozzarella, and I'm gonna go ahead and plop it in my ice water. usually it will turn to ricotta, which I'm gonna tell you in a second, around 190-ish. I've had it go higher and I've had it do it at lower. So I just took my stretched mozzarella out. It's in the bowl, and I've got my thermometer in just to see like when it switches. I feel like it's different for every batch. We're at 172 degrees right now, and then I'm gonna put the camera on the pot, and then that way you can see it's a pretty quick change. You're just stirring the whey, and then pretty soon you'll see the whey will kind of go greenish, and you'll start seeing white stuff like separate and float. So that's the ricotta. Okay, so right now we're at 174 degrees. You can tell the whey is still yellowish, it's creamy. When it separates for the ricotta, it'll be a lot almost greener, so you'll see when it turns. Okay, while you're waiting for your ricotta, go ahead and get a colander with a cheesecloth in it, because this is where you're going to dump the ricotta in with the whey for it to strain and separate. Okay, so we're at 187 right now, and it's really hard to tell from the video, but if you look over here, let me see if I can get a better view. It's starting to separate. There we go. So if I stir it, okay, so we're almost there. We're gonna let it go a little longer, but you can tell over here, same thing, it's starting to separate. So we're really close. And right now we're at 188 degrees. So you do not need your thermometer for this. I'm just trying to see what temperature it switches at. You'll definitely be able to tell when it's done. I still have a couple chunks of mozzarella in there, but that's okay. Okay, so as you can see over here, it's pretty separated. And we're at 196 degrees. So should be pretty good. I might let it go for like another minute and just see, but I think we're pretty much there. So I've dumped my whey ricotta into my strainer, and you can see as the whey is filtering out, the stuff along the edges is your ricotta cheese. So it can take a little bit to strain, but when all the liquid is out, or however thick or thin you want it, that's your ricotta. Okay, the ricotta's been straining. I'm probably gonna go ahead and put it in the fridge. It will get a little thicker, and this is about perfect. So I will salt a little bit and go ahead and stick it in the fridge and use it in my lasagna tonight.